And now, here is Coretta McDonald, Member of Parliament and host of Advancing the Cause.
Well, good evening to you, and I'm trusting that all is well. Yes, we did have a late start because we were having some technical difficulties, but I'm happy that you are here and you are joining us for another episode of Advancing the Cause. Well, you notice what we're going to be talking about tonight, and we're talking about who's stealing the monies from the Treasury. Who's stealing the monies from the Treasury? Now, this isn't a no call, or this isn't a no question, but we're going to get a little more into it as we get down into more of program timing. Now, the thing is, today we had the 50th sitting of Parliament. And of course, you know why that is happening. But let me tell you first, we would have had some persons who celebrated their birthdays from last Wednesday to today. And so we want to extend happy birthday to all of those persons who have celebrated their birthdays and who are celebrating birthdays. Best of wishes to you, and I trust that God is going to give you the kind of blessing and the kind of endurance you need, because we need that kind of tolerance at this time to deal with the PPPC. We need that. And I trust that you're going to be endowed with happiness and love and peace to last you a lifetime. And then on the same hand, we want to extend our sincerest condolences to those who are hurting at this time, those who have lost loved ones. It's not easy to lose a loved one. And so to all of those persons, we want to extend God's comfort to you at this time. Well, you know, tonight we're going to talk about some other things. Before we get into the stealing of the monies from the Treasury, I think the operator need to check our spelling there a bit. But we're going to continue while all of those things are being fixed. We saw the return of the PPPC. And, you know, these people, they have no shame. Absolutely no shame. We saw what happened on the west coast of Berbice a couple of weeks ago at Belladrum, where they came there under the disguise that they wanted to do developmental work in the community, where they're going to engage our youths. But you know exactly when they were exposed, we saw exactly what they were planning to do. They were planning to plant a PPP's office there to have one of their activists seated in that community center there to carry out their work. And this is one of our strongholds. And we have to say it as it is. This is one of our strongholds, but they're coming there under the disguise that they're coming to do developmental work, but they're doing their own thing. We're not going to tolerate that. And so they had the confrontation there with MP Jordan and some other folks from there. And of course, you know, they spill it off in their own way, and they want to tell you this and, oh, APNU AFC parliamentarian blocking developmental work. Lies. Lies. Sonia knew exactly what she was sent there to do. But our people, in some areas, they are wise and they're standing up. While some are a little flustered and a little fearful, others are standing up, and because they're reading through the lines. You notice when they go to some communities, and some of the communities that are our strongholds, they go there with lots and lots of promises, plenty promises, and nothing behind it. Oh, they come and they give you some footballs or some basketballs. How much is that going to help our youths? Huh? You tell me, how much is that going to help our youths? Are they going to play football all day, all night, every day for the week? How much, when you donate some basketballs, how much will that benefit the youths in these communities? They're going to play basketball whole day, whole night? Come on, PPPC, y'all just get a grip of yourself and find tangible things to say and do for people if you want to do. Mind you, we are not against developmental work. We are not against that. What we're against is the fact that the PPP are coming under the guise of a sheep when you have the wicked wolf there coming to do their own thing, and we will not allow that. So they did not get through with that on the west coast of Berbice. So they went to the Namstel. And Indar, yes, that boy Indar, he tried the very thing there, you know. But I'm happy that the people in the Namstel, and you know, these people have no respect. And like I said in a couple of the programs, respect is not part of their culture. Because when you look at the way with which they treat their women, respect is not a part of their culture. And so they go everywhere and they try the same thing. So we have an NDC there and they have bypassed the NDC and that they want to go there to open the community center to say that they're going to do developmental works. Now, if you're going to do developmental works, why is it a secret? Why you can't inform the NDC that was elected there by the people to serve them? Why can't you inform them that you're coming there and you're going to have talks with them? Now, this is how sensible, responsible, and professional governments operate. We talk with our people, we hear from them, and we work with them to ensure that their requests are being honored. You might not be able to do everything at the same time, but you're going to listen to them and you're going to prioritize what is needed first and foremost, and you get that done. But here is it, big stick method. So in dark charges down there, like the big bad wolf, like his leader, you know, who always in abuse out with somebody. As long as you criticize them, they're always in abuse out with you. So in dark charges down there and attempted to break the lock on the gate and all kind of thing. They went there with some grill or something, trying to saw off the lock there. But I'm happy, and I want to say to the people of the Namstel, we are proud that you were able to stand your ground and let them understand that you are not against developmental work, but what you're against is the bullying. Don't come to bully us. Don't come to bully us and take over what is ours. That community center belongs to the people in the Namstel and its neighboring communities. So you don't go there to bully them. While we're not yet finished with that, we saw the same thing, the takeover of the Mackenzie Sports Club there in Linden. Again, by the PPP with their two operatives, Kashif and Shanghai. Well, those of us who know the history, we would know that it's been a while since those two guys were fighting to have total control of that sports club. I'm hoping that the people in Linden, the people in Region 10, the people in Mackenzie and Wisma and all the other neighboring communities there, they're going to stand up and demand that proper work be done when they're going to do the work there. That's one. Two, they're going to ensure that they see the bill of quantities. And the three, they're going to ensure that when the work would have been completed, that sports club is handed over again to the people who are supposed to be able to have the service of that sports club, whether it's going to be a multifaceted sports club or community center or ground, whatever you want to call it. I'm hoping that the people there are going to demand that this belong to us and not any one group of people. It belongs to us, and we must be able to use it whenever we want to use it, providing that we follow the guidelines that are so laid out by us, the people, not by Kashif and Shanghai, not by two other persons or three other persons, or not by the persons who are solely followers of the PPP. It's disgusting. And these are the people who talk about One Guyana. These are the people who talk about democracy. These are the people who talk about transparency. These are the people who talk about love. And here is it, you have no respect for people. To hell was them. You know, to hell was these bullies. And then while we're moving away from that, we saw the whole exchange with Orphan Ali and the woman from Leopold Street when he went there to visit. You know, these people, they think that people are stupid and you don't understand the things and you don't see things when they happen. So when the woman was expressing to him that we want to see things happen, we don't want you to come and talk. Come with things. Put your money where your mouth is. Don't come and give us big fancy glorious statements. We can't eat that. We don't want big fancy speeches here. People are already suffering. They've been suffering since you took over in 2020. Cost of living sky high, and it continues to go there, and you're not doing anything about it, but you're coming to give us big fancy grand speech. We don't want that. You keep those speeches and practice those same speeches for when you go on the world scene, so that you'll be able to pronounce the words properly. You'll be able to read the sentence properly. They're going to make sense, and you're going to be confident about what you're doing when you go out there to represent us. Don't come here to give us fancy speeches. And so the woman raised some issues with him, and he was quite upset, you know. And they have a good way of deflecting from the real issue, and they bring something else up. So, you know, to throw the woman off, he said, in the last 5 years, have you seen your leaders here? The woman said they had the chance to come in. Well, I have the chance now. Big views out. And that's all he can do. Views. But I'm hoping that he would save those same energies. Save those same energies, Orphan Ali, to go out there when you go on the world stage to share and respond to the folks when they tell you that you can't pronounce the words. When they tell you that you can't pronounce words and so on, go out there and share that kind of arrogance, share it out there. Don't bring it to our people, because our people are about development. Our people are about equality. Our people are about one people, one nation, and one destiny. We're not here to talk about this flam and sham and fake one Guyana. That's not what we're about. We want to see what you are going to do for us, what you have there, because the monies of this country belong to us, not to you, not to your ministers, not to your cronies that you have. And you know what? As we're going through the program here, I like when the PPP lankies, you know, and the lazy-minded ones, I like when they're on this program. I like when they come on this program, it says to us that what we are saying here is enlightening. So that's why they come on the programs. So don't bother when they put up their stupid comments. It is the truth that is hurting them. The truth that is hurting them. Because if you know that somebody is not intelligent, why would you want to watch their program? Why would you want to tune into their program? Why would you want to tune in at program time? So we're not going to bother with them. We will do what we have to do. And yes, who's stealing the monies from the Treasury? The PPP. Who's stealing the monies from the Treasury? The PPP and their ministers. Let me tell you what. We have looked at what has happened in 2022. In 2022, we had the budget in February. That budget in February that we had there, coming out of that budget, we had $552.9 billion that was approved by Parliament. Not long after, they come again with another supplementary. In August, between August and November of 2022, they've already spent some more monies. Now they're coming for those monies to be approved, monies that they've already spent. Now we are not seeing what is happening with those monies that would have already been approved. Ministry of Education crying out they ain't got money. Well, I am sure that Ministry of Labor got anything really happening for them. The labor man, I don't know what's happening with the labor man. That labor is a couple of them, I'll address them just now. But all of the ministries are saying that they don't have monies. But what happened to this $552.9 billion? What happened to it? Where did those monies go? But let me tell you where they went. Some of those monies, I can tell you, went to Region 6, 2 ministers in Region 6 they're building big fancy mansions in Region 6. 2 of them in Region 6. You got one, he's already finished building his own. Since he took office in 2020, he already finished building his big mansion in Region 3. We got 2 on the East Coast who got apartment buildings. One is my good friend, and y'all know is who. Got big apartment buildings since they took office in 2022, since they took office in 2020. Now you understand where our monies are going? They're thieving the monies. But you know what? They want to look down on all of these small contractors and every little public servant. They want to look over your shoulders to see what you're doing when they're the ones who's stealing all the big monies. But we'll get a little more to that. But the thing is, where are our monies going? $552.9 billion, where those monies went. Then we had another $44.8 billion. Now, when you add all of these monies, you'll see they're coming to Parliament again. You know, yesterday was Parliament, and we'll have another sitting on Monday. Now, they're coming there with all of these supplementary budgets, asking for approval for monies that they would have already spent and asking for more monies. Now, all of this will come up to some 600 and something billion dollars. Where are these monies going? Where they're going? My, where are these monies going? Folks, viewers, I hope you people are understanding what is happening in this country. I hope you are seeing that the gap in between the rich and the poor, it's going to get wider. Poor people will not be able to catch up with the rich ones. The 3 Fs will not be able to catch up with them. The ordinary working people in this country, imagine, in this country of ours, we would have had every single one of the working class people in this country. They couldn't see it in their hearts to give us a double-figure increase in salaries. They couldn't see it in their hearts, even though they are conscious. Well, I shouldn't even say that they're conscious, because you know what? They don't face the marketplaces. They don't face the gas stations. They don't have to go to the supermarkets. They don't have to travel in public transportation with public transportation. So they don't understand what is happening to us, the poor and ordinary working people. So they did not see it fit to give us double-figure increase, even while they're boasting that Guyana's economy is one of the fastest growing in the world. Now, how can our economy be one of the fastest growing in the world when the World Bank would have said to us in their report, you notice they didn't challenge it? Because they can't. The World Bank is saying to us that poverty has increased in Guyana. The World Bank is saying that to us. Now, they have not challenged that because they know it's true. But we're the fastest growing economy. Even today, I heard the Minister of Agriculture boasting about it. But yet you couldn't see it in your hearts to offer to the working class people of this country double-figure increases. You couldn't see it in your hearts. And I'm wondering, when our people are living from paycheck to paycheck, from month to month, who's really benefiting? Again, who's really benefiting from all these monies that are being passed in Parliament? Who is really benefiting? I'm hoping that Priya or Mark Phillips or Joseph Hamilton or some one of them, Anil or some one of them, would be able to answer these questions. Who's really benefiting from all these monies that are being passed in Parliament? Who's really benefiting from it? Families, friends, favorites. Those are the people who are benefiting from all of these monies. You look at the contracts that are being awarded. You check the connections. You'll see how connected they are. You look at all the workshops that they are doing. Look at all the jobs that are being offered. And you'll see who are the people getting those jobs. As a matter of fact, they can throw a little one or two Afro-Guyanese in the pot so that it ain't gonna look so bad. But we understand the game. We understand the game fully well that they're playing. And all of this, 8% across the board, while the inflation rate is all of this. And this is your 8%. This is your 8%. Inflation rate is way up there. Cost of living is right there too. Just today, I'm hearing that garlic has been increased by $80 more. A little bottle of cooking oil that was 3 something has gone to 6 or 7 something now. Don't talk about eggs. And mind you, Christmas is just around the corner. So some of us might not have cake at home. We might make the vegetarian cake. But these people don't understand what is happening to the poor and ordinary people. You know, some people don't like me to say the poor and ordinary people, but we poor because we can't afford certain things. We're talking here about big fancy sausage and all kinds of things on our tables in the mornings. Ordinary things we're talking about. You know what we're talking about? We're talking about a little fried egg, a little piece of cheese, if you can afford that, peanut butter, margarine butter on your bread. That's what we're talking about. And yet our people cannot afford that. But the big and the famous and the rich and the famous, they're the ones who are living the luxurious life. You know, the PPPS, Ingrid, they're wicked, they stink, and they're dirty, yes. And that's a fact. And I'm hoping that we could say this to them when they come to our communities. Don't come to tell us all kinds of foolishness. Bring stuff for us. Don't tell us nonsense. We don't want to hear that. You come in our communities and you do a road here, substandard, of course. You do a little thing there. You throw some balls to our youths and you tell them you care. Care about who? Care about what? All you want to do is to bully us here. And so we are seeing, as we go through, we are seeing that these riggers and these greedy grabbers, they don't care about us. That's all they're doing. They're rigging everything, they're grabbing everything, and they're greedy. That's who the PPP are. That's who they are. And that's why we can conclude without any fear of contradiction who really is stealing the money from the Treasury. And we know who's stealing the monies from the Treasury. So we recognize that cost of living, high, high, high. Discrimination, well, don't talk about that one. It has returned with vengeance. It has returned with vengeance. So discrimination all around, everywhere. More so, if you talk, you're gone in the black book. They probably get blue book by now, and maybe a brown one too. But if you talk about it, you talk about anything that they do, they put you off. They sign you off. If you have a contract, they're hurrying to pull it. Poverty is on the increase. Crime is on the increase. And corruption is ripe, ripe, ripe. Corruption, big time. And now they're so bold with what they're doing that they don't care who see, they don't care who object, they don't care who talk. They are doing everything that is blatant. 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 But you know what? We will continue to expose them. We will continue to expose them. They love to boast the fastest growing economy in the world. The fastest growing economy in the world. And your people suffering? Your people can't get jobs? Your people living from month to month? Under the coalition, I don't mind what they say about the coalition. Under the coalition government, people were enjoying a better life. A better life, a stress-free life under the coalition government. Under the coalition government, you felt included, belonged, a part of. And you know what? We saw the PPP criticizing the coalition government when they talked about the coalition government giving themselves 50%. But the same PPP were in opposition. They collected the 50% too as opposition parliamentarians. They collected it. But you didn't hear them say, well, we're not going to accept it. We're going to give it back. They collected that 50% too. And so we are seeing the deceivers, the wolves in sheep clothing. We are seeing them. They didn't say we don't want the 50%. They collected it. As a matter of fact, when they were campaigning, they said that they were going to give 50% salary increase. We're still waiting for the 50% salary increase. We're still waiting for it. Our friend Ali said in his parliamentary speech, if you see the boy doing himself up, man, his government would give, when they're elected, they would give no less than 20%. We're still waiting for the 12 because 8 was announced. We're still waiting for the 12. But I want you to know, my viewers, and I'm happy that you're here tuned in. I want you to know that, like old people just say, long time done, short time left. Long time done, short time left. No care for the NIS pensioners. No care for those old-aged pensioners who are not receiving NIS pension. No care for baby mothers. No care for babies. No care for our youths. None whatsoever, these grabbers and riggers. And they want to throw their shadow on other people. But there's only so much that one can do and no more. You can do, but you can't do all the time. And so old people would say, long time done, short time left. Long time done, short time left. The working class people of this country, they deserve better. They deserve better. Because if we don't have the working class people in this country, the wheels can't turn. And I'm surprised. I'm surprised and I'm disappointed that we have so many who pretend to be religious in that cabal there. And they're sitting and they're accepting all the atrocities that is being meted out to people. And yes, let me repeat it again for you. 2 of the ministers got apartment buildings in region 4 on the East Coast. 2 of them. You got 2 in region 6 building mansions. 1 in region 3 already built his. And all of this happening between 2020 and now. Riggers. They're talking about who incompetent. They're talking about who's stealing. But we now recognize who's stealing the monies and where the money is going. In their pockets, in their families' pockets, in big fancy buildings. I'm still to confirm the building on Miller Street there, who it belonged to. But you know, they're smart. Or they're playing they're smart. Because sometimes they don't put these buildings, these properties in their names, you know. They don't put it in their names. They don't put it in their names. They don't put it. Daddy Prasad, good night to you and Farouk. The truth will continue to hurt you. And we will continue to say it. The truth will continue to hurt you. Under the coalition government, the ordinary working class people in this country benefited from the salary increases. They benefited from the salary increases because you know what? They did not get 8% across the board. It was staggered increases we got, not 8% across the board. And so the small man was able to benefit, and the salaries were tax-free. The increases were tax-free. The small man was able to benefit because he got the largest part of the increase. So who's stealing the money again? Do the calculation. Let's look at what the president receives as his salary. Add 8% to that and see how much his increase is going to be when you backdate it. Check it. His increases alone, I'm sure 20 public servants or more would be able to benefit from it. But you know what? He ain't care. He just don't care because, like I said earlier, he doesn't have to go to the he doesn't have to go to the market. He doesn't have to go to the market. And so they don't feel what people feeling out here. But let me tell you, under the PPP, what happening? Under the PPP is stress and more stress and more stress. We got lawlessness to the highest extent. Under the PPP, police officers getting blows. Citizens are so frustrated, they're taking it out on the police officers. Mind you, I'm not saying that it's what they're doing is right, but frustration leading these people to do all sorts of things. So we saw a couple of policemen got blows from motorists. But I'm happy that the law is there to deal with them. So we saw one today being sent to prison for 9 months after he pleaded guilty to his charges. We saw a next young man who got, I think it's about 13 or 15 charges laid against him. He's on $150,000 bail, which in my opinion, he should not have gotten any. And, you know, we got to teach these people a lesson. But they're seeing what the riggers are doing. They're seeing what the thieves are doing. And so they feel that because the thieves breaking the law and they've opened this land to being a lawless one, that they can do what they see people doing. You remember the law books that disappeared? And then somebody said, oh, it was a gift that was given to him. So if people seeing big officials stealing law books, then people got to feel that they got a right to do all kinds of things too. We saw the issue of the ambulance driver transporting chicken in the ambulance, because they see other people doing the same thing. You remember we had a cop who was transporting a whole large plenty colognes and all kind, not colognes, plenty fancy liquors, plenty alcoholic beverages, and now that officer get big position, was promoted. So lawlessness has become a part of our culture. Once the PPP is there, lawlessness will prevail. So we had those guys there who beat up on those police officers. And then we saw again a 22-year-old teacher who slit the throat of her grandmother. She has a 1-month-old baby. And where is Vindi Prasad? You know, we as women experience these issues after pregnancy, before pregnancy, they go into depression. Where is Vindi and her officers to be monitoring what is happening in our society? And to offer the kind of help that our people need? They don't care. They just pretend as if they care. But when you look at actually what is happening, they just don't care. They don't care. And so we had that happening. And then we had happening to, we also saw today reports of a mudslide in Linden, landsliding in Linden. I'm happy that nobody really has been seriously injured, but we have to look at that too. And then when we talk about Linden, of course, Linden is one of the regions that has been severely ostracized by the PPP. Yes, the people in Linden. Because the people in Linden are saying, we will not take nonsense. We will not vote for you. We don't care what you do. Our support will never be for you. And that's what the majority of the people in Linden are saying. So they have been ostracized for that. But they will continue to stand strong because they're a resolute group of people who are loyal and they're patriotic. So they'll continue to stand strong. So it doesn't matter what the PPP tried to do to the people in Linden. Oh, they dismiss nurses. They abandon this program, the nursing program. They abandon that program. The people in Linden will stand up. The people in Linden will stand up. It's like what they're trying to do in Buxton. They're trying to bribe the people in Buxton, but the people in Buxton will not forgive you, and they will not forget what you did to their sons in Buxton. Shaka Blair. Up to now, we can't have a final closure to the murder of Shaka Blair in front of his children and his wife. The people in Buxton will not forgive you for all the torment you brought to them. They will not forgive you. So don't run to Buxton and feel that you could go there and give balls and give a lawnmower and these kinds of things, and that will wash away your sins. No, that will not wash away your sins. And you know what? This victimization and discrimination, it doesn't only go for Black people or Afro-Guyanese, but they're the ones who suffer the most. But as long as you're presumed to be a coalition supporter, they ostracize you. And so some of our Indo-Guyanese brothers and sisters are feeling that too. And some of our Amerindian brothers and sisters in their settlements, they're feeling it. Well, don't let me talk about what is happening in Georgetown. Don't let me talk about what is happening in Georgetown, the stink city. You remember prior to May 2015, what was happening in Georgetown? Well, it has returned. So they don't care what happens in the city of Georgetown. As a matter of fact, they have been starving the city of Georgetown, the city council, they've been starving them of funding. Rather than giving the monies to the city council, they have decided that they are going to do work. They're going to contract persons to do work around the city. When the city has the city council there, they have qualified engineers and all of that, no, they're going out to find their own people to do things. And when they go out there, they have to do them 2 and 3 and 4 times. We've seen how many cleanup exercises. We've seen many cleanup exercises, and what? The more they have the cleanup exercises where they just pull a couple of grass, some grass here and some grass there and some bottles here and some bottles there, the more the city flooding. The more it flooding. So it is definitely saying to us that something is wrong. The PPP were not there. They're not a party to govern. They are not a party to govern because they don't care about you. They don't care about our people. And we have to continue to expose this racist government. And you know what is sad? You know what is sad? It is sad that they have some Afro-Guyanese in the midst of them who they put a collar around their necks and they got a leash holding them. So those can't say much and they can't do much, but they always bark at you. Every time you expose them, they bark at you. And so we had Mark unleashing at Mr. Saul. And then we have Joey Pulauri, Joe. He attempted to respond to me when I exposed him as the Minister of Labor. And the man ain't got no shame. He ain't got no shame, but I want him to know that I'm not a grasshopper. I am not a grasshopper. And I want him to know that I am always grateful for what persons would have done for me. But he's ungrateful. He's not grateful. It is because of the PNC that he is out here today, tonight. It is because of the PNC. It is because of a man by the name of Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham that he could stand up and talk the kind of foolishness he talking now. But the man ain't got no shame. This man and many others like Mark and Edgil and all of them, they have joined with the oppressors to continue to oppress our people. That's what they have done. Join with the oppressors. You know, in the PNC days, we hadn't youths who were liming all around the communities and had nothing to do because there was a system in place. We had a national service in place. We had the people's militia in place. And so youths were pulled from communities to join these organizations. And you had discipline instilled in them. You had loyalty instilled in them. You had patriotism and love for country instilled in these young people. But what we have today, they've disbanded all of those organizations. And you know what they say? Oh, they want to make people slaves, and you want to make people this, and you want to make people that. But what is happening today? There is no we have little or no programs for our young people. And so we find them all around the street corners, liming in certain areas. And then you have the police going out there harassing them. You know, you talk about youth development. And what are we doing for the youths? What are we really doing for the youths? Huh? You see anything? Nothing whatsoever. Nothing whatsoever. Huh? Nothing happening for our youths in this country. A couple of balls. Oh, you promised them big fancy stadium, big fancy this, big fancy that. When are these things going to happen? We're not seeing them happening. And the thing about it is, in every community where the coalition government would have started developmental works, these riggers and grabbers come and they disband all, discontinue all. All of the projects they're discontinuing. As if to say, we cannot do this because it's a coalition started it, so we cannot complete this. Very, very silly people. All they know to do is to grab. So who's stealing the monies from the Treasury? The PPP. Alibaba and the 40 thieves. They're the one who's stealing the monies from the Treasury. And when you ask them to give you an explanation, to provide you with programs that they would have completed, and to give you a breakdown of how the monies were spent, they can't give you that. They can't give you that. But I'm hoping, viewers, that you are making notes, you're making your little jottings of all the monies that would have been passed in Parliament and all the projects that they said they would have started, and which projects were completed and which projects were not completed. Because these stinking dirty people, their face bare, I can tell you that. Their face bare. And they love to deflect on what the real issue is. So back to Joseph Hamilton. Rather than talking about the 8% and trying to say, well, look, man, we didn't think about it but we can offer something more to our working class people. He opted to defend the 8%. And in opting to defend the 8%, he deflected from the main issue to talk about Coretta McDonald and something about some prime ministerial candidacy and talks. Hell no, I don't want to be a part of the PPP. I don't want to be a part of the PPP. I never wanted to be a part of the PPP. I always had a working relationship with the PPP government when they were there before 2015. Just the same way I had a working relationship with the coalition government. And I stood up for what I believed in as a trade unionist. So don't go out there to tell people foolishness about Coretta McDonald was in talks with the PPP for presidential, for prime ministerial candidacy position or some foolishness like that. Never. But that's how they operate. They have to deflect and feel that people are stupid. So they're deflecting from the real issue. Rather than talking about the 8%, he jumped to something else to deflect from the 8%. But the 8% will continue to be sounded out loud because you're shameless. Y'all ain't got no shame. You and the whole cabal, y'all ain't got no shame. 8% y'all offering to the working class people of this country. When cost of living high. Y'all sit in your fancy AC offices. You drive around in fancy vehicles, and your citizens walking the country. They stand up late in the evenings, waiting on transportation to get home, when many of our students get off from school at 3 o'clock. Some of them go to lessons. You pass by the bus park now, and you're going to see students by the bus park. What cushion have you put there for the working class people? None whatsoever. None. And so you'll continue to steal the monies and get rich. And the poor and ordinary people will remain poor. And you talk about you care. You talk about developmental work. You talk about Guyana being the fastest growing economy. And you want to compare Guyana to being the next Dubai of the Caribbean. With what? People punishing? Huh? People punishing, and y'all talking about y'all praying? Huh? And you talk about who's bishop, who's fishop, and who's ishop? Y'all get real, people. Get real. Don't come here and talk foolishness.
We promise to increase the salaries of public servants by far more than 20%. By far more than 20%. Mr. Speaker, what about the nurses, the teachers, what about the police workers, the police officers? Aren't they equally important? Aren't they equally important? Mr. Speaker.
This is the same man who offered that 8%, you know. And that's what I tell you, these people ain't got no shame. These people ain't got no shame. He was the person asking, what about the teachers? The teachers still waiting. What about the nurses? The nurses still waiting. What about the policemen? Oh, I see going to bribe them and offering them a little $5,000 here and a little $4,000 there and a little $5,000 something there. I mean, that's a bottle of gas. What happens after that? You're back to zero. Huh? I'm seeing sweet potatoes, $400 a pound. So what happened in there? These people, they're just about that small group, that elite group. And they don't care about the poor people. They don't care about working class people. And again, let me ask the question. What is it? What is it that the working class people in this country, what crime have they committed against the PPP that is causing you, the riggers, to treat them the way you are treating them? What crime have they committed? What crime have we committed? 8% again. Last year we got 7. This year we got 8. So it's 1. You counted in ones. So after 7 is 8. Next year it's going to be 9. And then I saw Ali putting up something there that talks about 2020 somebody. 2030, I think he talked about what other development will happen. And we'll have to wait until then to see the fruits of all and to enjoy whatever it is. Now, how many of us are going to be alive 8 years from now? Ali himself doesn't even know where he's going to be 8 years from now. And he's telling us that we will have to wait from then to see, what's happening. And to get the fruits, to benefit from the fruits of all that is happening now, all the systems they're putting in place now. We don't want that. We want it now. We want to be able to enjoy life now. Poor people, ordinary working class people, they must be able to get a salary that can balance them for the month. You think it's easy what some of us go through? You think it's easy? Halfway the month, the salary finish. And you know how you make it out for the other half of the month. Halfway the month, your salary finish. When you finish paying light bill, well, I noticed somebody talking about GPL. They're saying GPL. GPL. Continuing to frustrate people. The thieves. Huh? They are stealing the money from the Treasury. The PPP stealing the money from the Treasury. Huh? $900 for pound of beef. Where are we going? Where are we going? $900, Brian Craig is saying, for a pound of beef. If you got a family of 8, how much beef you're going to be able to buy? How much beef you're going to be able to buy? Our friend don't have to go to the marketplace to buy beef. Priya doesn't have to go to the marketplace to buy beef. Deodatin got to go to the market to buy beef. So you understand what's happening with us? This is what we are faced with. Who's stealing the monies from the Treasury? Alibaba and the 40 thieves. And they got some other crooks with him too. They're the ones stealing the monies. Our people are suffering. They have continued to suffer from 2020. More sufferings will take place. And this is not what we are saying alone. This is what the World Bank is saying. Poverty has increased. What has happened again? Let me ask. What has happened to the teachers? What has happened to the nurses? You talked about collective bargaining back then. What happened now when you're in government? What's happening now that you're in government? You forget that the teachers need collective bargaining. You forget that you have to talk with their unions. You forget you got to talk with the nurses union. You forget that you got to talk to the GPSU. You forget all these things now that you're in office. And all you're trying to do is to continue to oppress people. That's all the PPP are about. They are oppressors. They have been gifted that cup from the colonials, from those who governed back then. The colonialists, they have been given that cup. So they collect the cup of oppression, and that's what they're handing to us all the time. They're oppressing us all the time. Not too long, I'm hearing van loads of policemen are in Mocha, Arcadia, going there to break down the people's homes. And this is how they operate many, many times. At nights, they come to break your homes. They come to roam the villages. They come to do all kinds of things. And again, we will continue to say that the PPP are a one-sided group of people. They only fake love, but they're not genuine with what they do. They're not genuine about it. They're not genuine about it. And so I think the operator is having some shots there to show you what they did to some poor people, breaking the people's homes in Mocha, Arcadia. They don't love poor people. They are not for the working class. And we will vote them out. My viewers, I'm hoping that you're taking note of what is happening. Poor people, look what they're doing to them. Look what they're doing to poor people. Breaking their homes and all kinds of things down. But we will count, we will mark all of those things down. We will mark them down. And you know what they're doing? They're using all of these Spanish people, these Venezuelans who cannot speak proper English. They're using them to go into those areas as the thugs. Look what's happening here. Now tell me, these poor people, look, the people chair outside, they throw it out. The people zinc sheets, they knock off. Where are these people supposed to go now? Where are they supposed to go? But you know, some of the things that I want to say, I can't look what's happening there. Operative, you can pull that back there. Look, the people furniture, their fan. All of that is outside there. It is disgusting. And these are the people who talk about development. When you destroying, that could be development. Huh? Destroying people's home could be any form of development. Look, the young man standing there, his furniture behind him. And this is the one Guyana we're talking about. We remembered when they just came into office, they went to supply and flooded the people out there. Huh? And this is the love that they talk about. This is the one Guyana that they're preaching. Look the machines that they have there to break people's homes down. People, we've got to get up and get busy. We have to stand up for what we believe in. We have to, we as a people will have to stand up to these people when they come to our villages. Surround them when they come to our villages and let them understand you're not coming to break people's homes in these villages. We don't care how many police they come with. We will have to stand up to them. We have to chase them out when they come to our villages because we cannot condone these kinds of foolishness. You go to other areas, you see them paying persons to remove them. And when they come to other areas, they bulldoze the people out. These things cannot continue to happen. And when you see so, they collect big monies already to give away those plots of lands. Who's stealing the monies from the Treasury? The PPP. Who continue to frustrate our people? The PPP. Who continue to oppress our people? The PPP. They're the ones stealing the monies from the Treasury. They're the ones who are continuing to oppress our people. They're the ones who are using the blacks that they have amongst them. They're putting collars on them and they got leashes and then they loosen them out when they want them to go out there. When they want them to go out there, they loose them out. And so they attack left, right, and center. When they attack Lincoln Lewis, they attack Coretta McDonald, they attack David Hines, they attack David Patterson, everybody they're attacking. They attack Aubrey Norton. Every time you speak out, they attack you. They attack Valda Lawrence. They attack Amanza Walton. Everybody they're attacking. But we will not forget those things. We've seen the kind of injustice that has been meted out to our MPs in Parliament who were not given an hearing. No hearing whatsoever, but a penalty was passed down on them. And these riggers talking about democracy. These money grabbers, these greedy people talk about democracy and transparency and because we care, you know? Because we care and you're giving the people 8%. How can you care and you give people 8% when cost of living is way past that? Inflation rate is way past that. But we will remember you for these things. We will remember you for these things. Viewers, I want to thank you so much for being here with us. We will continue on this again next week. We'll tell you about the additional supplementaries that they would have come with in Parliament, asking for much more money. But we're not seeing where these monies are going. Well, I shouldn't say we're not seeing. We're seeing where it's going. It's not coming to the ordinary man and woman and children, but it's going up in apartment buildings and mansions. I hope some of them could live long enough to enjoy those mansions that they're putting up at the expense of ordinary taxpayers. I hope some of them would live long enough to inherit the rent that they're collecting from those apartment buildings at the expense, again, of the ordinary working class people. Local government elections are around the corner. Get yourself tuned in. Go out there and ensure that your groups who are part of the process, that you be part of the process too, and you go out there and vote so that you can control some of those NDCs, some of those towns. You can control the township, and you'll be able to stand together. People, let me tell you what, we have to stand together and fight this battle because all of us are in this together. All of us are feeling this squeeze. All of us have to face the marketplaces. All of us have to live with the high cost of living. Let's stand together as a group of resolute people. We have demonstrated this kind of resilience before, and we're going to demonstrate it again. So I'll see you again next week for more. Wear your mask often as possible and try your best to stay away from huge crowds. And before I go quickly, let me say to you, the 60th edition of the National Cycling, Swimming, and Track and Field Championships are on the way. It's happening, not now, but it is happening this week at the Lenora Synthetic Track. We'll talk more about that. It's a shame and disgrace that the 60th edition has been watered down to what it is now. But we'll talk more about that next week. Do have a good night, and may God continue to bless you all. Again, who's stealing the monies from the Treasury? The PPP, the greedy grabbers, the riggers, Alibaba and the 40 thieves and the other cabals that he has there with him. And remember, Mark Phillips and them, they have no say. They are like dogs with the collars around their necks and a lynch. And when they are ready to be let out, they get loose and they go out there and they bark and they pull them in. But to make decisions and to offer ease and cushion for persons around in this country, they can't do that. So Pulauri Joe, just relax yourself. You on borrowed time right now. Anil, I want to hear from you. I want to hear from Vindy. I want to hear what services you're going to offer to some of our poor people. Do take care, friends. And remember, we are the ones who are going to take this nation to where it ought to be. Don't bother with the grabbers. They're stealing the monies. Good night.